This is the key paragraph in the October 21 reaffirmation statement where Dr. Ganun Diop, because it says there, the Seventh Adventist Church, in consultation with the health ministries, that was Dr. Peter Landless, and the public affairs and religious liberty departments, that's Dr. Ganun Diop, who in 2023 is such a champion of individual liberty of conscience. They are convinced, that's good news, that the vaccination programs that are generally being carried out are important for the safety and health of our members and the larger community. Therefore, and this is the key sentence, claims of religious liberty are not used appropriately in objecting to government mandates or employer programs designed to protect the health and safety of their communities. Now, what is a religious liberty objection? A religious liberty objection, by definition, is where the Holy Spirit convicts you not to do something. When the church says that the Holy Spirit, that you cannot say that the Holy Spirit is convicting you not to do something, this small group of men here are assuming the right to override the Holy Spirit. This is wrong. Doesn't matter what the issue is. Doesn't matter whether it's vaccinations or pork or beer or anything else. In this passage here, our church leaders assumed the right to override the convictions of the Holy Spirit upon each of your consciences. And if they assumed the right yesterday, they've established a precedent that can be used tomorrow, once again, to hurt the members. That is why we're talking about this today, because more mandates are coming. In 1923, the General Conference voted in full session this vote. It's an interesting vote, and you've got to go digging through the dusty books to find things like this. But this is what we voted in 1923. It says there, as American citizens, and this was actually an appeal to the US federal government. So this vote was an appeal to the federal government in Washington, D.C. And this is what we voted. We said, as American citizens, we appeal on the ground of specifically declared constitutional rights to the free exercise of religion according to the dictates of the individual conscience, totally free and exempt from all government connection, interference, or control. But religion, or the duty which we owe to our Creator and the manner of discharging it, can be directed only by reason and conviction, and is nowhere cognizable but at the tribunal of the universal judge. We maintain, therefore, that in matters of religion, no man's right is abridged by the institution of civil society, and that religion is wholly exempt from its cognizance. We, therefore, as Christians, as Protestants, as American citizens, and as men, appealing to the supreme judge of the world, that is God himself, for the rectitude of our intentions, solemnly publish and declare that we are, and of right, ought to be free and independent of all connection, direction, dictation, interference, or control of the government of the United States in matters of religion or religious observances or religious institutions of any kind or degree. That's a powerful statement. We voted that in 1923 and we sent it to the federal government, affirming that we are morally accountable to God and we do not accept any government actions that would interfere with the free exercise of religion. Now, as it happens, you may ask this question, in America, we don't have the absolute right to the free exercise of religion because the Supreme Court has held that in things, let's say, as child sacrifice, you cannot sacrifice a living child in the pursuit of your religious observances, okay? So we don't have an absolutely untrammeled, absolutely unrestricted right to religious freedom. And so there is the right to practice in the First Amendment, and there is also the right to be free of a state church in the First Amendment as well. But our religious observance is not an absolute right in the Bill of Rights because some things have been restricted by the Supreme Court, such as child sacrifice. So this particular statement here, if you put this statement, this vote of the General Conference in full session next to the October reaffirmation statement, you put them side by side, the statement on the left is what we voted in full session. And according to our constitution, what is the highest authority in our church? Is it the ADCOM or is it the GC in a full session? Okay, so therefore, every decisions of the ADCOMs, which are a lower committee than the GC in full session, must be consistent with the GC votes in full session and cannot overturn or undermine the votes of the GC in full session. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So our GC vote in full session of February 1893 says we are and of right ought to be free and independent of all connection, direction, dictation, interference, or control of the government of the United States in matters of religion or religious observances or religious institutions of any kind or degree. That would include offering your body as a living sacrifice before a holy God. That statement there overrides the October reaffirmation statement of 21, which says claims of religious liberty are not used appropriately in objecting to government mandates. That statement by our ADCOM goes directly against what our full session voted in 1893. Therefore, it's null and void, because the ADCOM cannot override the vote of the full church in full session. Now, you may say, well, that past time, that was 130 years apart. Yes, but we're still bound by principles established in the Garden of Eden 7,000 years ago. What is a mere 130 years? Truth is truth, no matter when it is spoken or where it was spoken. And so, just on this basis alone, the October 21 reaffirmation statement is null and void and should never have been voted and has no standing because it cannot override the GC vote in full session of 1893. So these are various statements that we've made as